Hey, what up guys? In this one, we're headed to Spyglass Hill. Played at 1T forward on the white tees because heck, it's a pretty difficult course, and if you're gonna pay all that money, might as well enjoy it. I am a Dukes member, so it was a little cheaper, but still quite expensive to play out there. That being said, let's head out the course and see how I did.
All right, hole number one at Spyglass is a downhill par 5, dogleg left, hit a pretty good drive, and I got the first drive jitters out of the way, and now it's time to get down to business. So, second shot is with my one length hybrid, ends up rolling through the fairway and going into the first cut, but hey, no complaints here. I just have a gap wedge into the green. That being said, this one goes off a little to the right, but hey, I'm on the green in regulation on the first hole at Spyglass. First time playing this course, and it's beautiful. Having a great time. So here is the birdie putt. Left it a little short. Was respecting the greens quite a bit today, and I just tapped that in for par. So par after the first hole. Love it. All right, next up is a very short par 4. Took out the one length hybrid here again. Just poked it down in the middle of the fairway. Didn't hit it very good, but set myself up at least for a good look into the green on my second shot. Unfortunately, I pulled this a little bit to the left-hand side, so I'm left with this diabolical downhill chip where there's a lot of deep rough in between me and the green. Luckily, I hit on this downslope, and it just trickles down onto the green, and I have at least a putt from this position. More than happy with that. All right, here is the putt with my Armlock putter. And yeah, end up just hitting this long putt for par. If it didn't go into the cup, it was going off the green. All right, next up is the iconic par 3 that is facing the ocean. It's so beautiful here. End up just getting into the middle of the green, playing for the safe, boring play. And then pretty much here's my putt attempt for birdie. Didn't give it enough break, but, happy with the result here. I gave it a chance. And here is the cleanup for the par. And yeah, just knocked this in. And starting off with 3 pars in a row, I'm having quite a run here. All right, next up is a gorgeous hole with the coast on the left-hand side. Play this far out to the right-hand side as to avoid the waste bunkers and all the junk on the left. That being said, my next shot into the green, this iconic snake-like narrow green, was pretty good. But guess what? James' was even better. So check James' shot out.
All right, I hit a good shot, but look at James. He's inches from the hole. Holy crap, dudes. Let's go.
So James taps his in for birdie. I tap mine in for birdie, and I'm 1 under at Spyglass, and I'm having a great time. So next up is a pretty cool par 3 with a nice house for you to look at while you're hitting towards it. I barely get onto the green, so I have yet another look for birdie. This one, just barely missed this one, but I gave it a good shot, rolled it past the hole, and I just tapped this one in for my par. So 1 under at this point. I can't believe it. All right, next up is an uphill par 4. Hit a decent drive here, but it didn't go all that far according to Arcos. Only went about 211 yards. So I have a decent length one into the green for my second shot. This one, leave the club face open ever so slightly. And so I'm on the green, but I'm on the very far right side of the green. So yeah, the greens here at Spyglass, some of them are very big. And just because you're on in regulation doesn't mean you're going to get out with an easy par. So here's my first putt. And as you can see, it rolls pretty far past the hole, and I have a decent length one now for my par putt. All right, so here's the par putt. Didn't quite read it right, but just tapped this one in for bogey. But hey, I'm even at this point, so I can't believe it. All right, next up is a shorter par 5. The drive here, I end up flaring out to the right and end up landing in the rough. And they were going a little thick here because of the Pro-Am that was coming up. So yeah, this next shot, I just took a club that I knew. If I were to hit it pure, which I didn't, it wouldn't go into the water. As you can see, I am quite short of this water here, but it leaves me with a very manageable approach into the green. And so I do end up on the green on the very front side of it, and this is kind of my fault. I end up hitting what I thought it was a decent putt, but end up hitting the ball marker of my friend, and then yeah, we'll never know if that was going to go in for birdie, but hey, easy par. I'll take that any day of the week. So still even at this point. So unfortunately for me, all good things must come to an end. Yeah, this one I end up pulling to the left. What you don't see is my ball hitting the cart path and rolling all the way back like 100 yards. So I took relief into this rough, and yeah, I hit a decent shot, and it kicks to the right off this hill, and it goes through the fairway to the right-hand side, and I couldn't find it. So I take a drop, take a two-stroke penalty, and I just hit onto the green. So that being said, now I'm battling behind the penalty strokes, and so this is just for my double, and I leave it quite short, so I still have a testy one for my triple bogey. Fortunately, I do make the triple, but yeah, bummer that I lost the ball, but they're going them long here, so it's pretty easy to lose it in the rough. Alright, just mentally have to forget what happened on the last hole and hit a good drive here, so I step up, hit it pretty decently. Unfortunately, it's in the rough again, and like I said, yeah, the rough is pretty tough to hit out of here. Fortunately, hit this one pretty clean, and I clubbed up, and so I got onto the green in regulation, so I have another look, even though it's long, for a birdie. And so this one, yeah, I roll quite far past, and so now I have a really testy one for my par here, but fear not, the Armlock putter comes in the clutch. And so 3 over on the front 9 with a lost ball. Alright, this is kind of where a 4 caddy or a caddy would be useful, because I thought I hit a pretty good shot up the left hand side, giving me a good look at the green for my second. Unfortunately, I was just blocked by this huge tree. Should have played it out way far to the right and maybe took out driver, not sure. So I punch it through and it gets up, 90 yards or so, and so I have a good look just to get onto the green and try to one putt, but I leave this one short. I don't know what I was thinking here. I just needed to get onto the green and I couldn't do that. So I just took out my putter here, hit it a little too firm, but hey, you know what, now I'm on the green, not screwing around with like a chip that I could duff or thin. And so here's my next putt, and I miss it. So start off the back 9 with a double bogey. All right, next up is a short par 5. If you want to take the hero line, you can go up the right hand side over these trees and that hill. I opted for the fairway that's straight in front of me, and yeah, made a very manageable second shot, which was just a layup because I wanted to make sure I had an easy club into the green. So I just didn't want to hit into the bunkers on the right hand side, and unfortunately I end up flaring it to the right and landing in between all those bunkers. So I have a decent chip that's not too hard to get onto the green, and I try to get way too cute with it. So yeah, I just wanted to barely land on the green. I had no excuse for this. I should have just got it on because it was an uphill chip and I didn't successfully get on the green, so I have to chip it again, almost make it, but now I have a pretty tough sliding putt just to save my bogey. So here's the bogey attempt, and yeah, it just lips out, so I tap in for another double. So 2 doubles in a row, starting off the back pretty rough. Alright, coming up is probably one of the longer par 3s on the course. All the par 3 here from the white tees are pretty short. And yeah, I end up leaving this one short, probably too scared of the water to be a little more aggressive with it. So as you can see, pretty huge green. Thought I made a pretty decent chip, but ultimately was still pretty far from the hole. And so I have a pretty long one for my par putt. So pretty zoomed out here, can't really see all that much, but yeah. Ultimately end up just missing my par and just tapping in for the bogey here. So going in the right direction, not a double, but still could do a little bit better. All right, next up is a pretty straightforward par 4. Not too many straightforward holes on this course, but this is definitely one of them. Just barely carried the bunkers on the left-hand side, so I'm set up pretty well for my second shot. Unfortunately, caught this one a little iffy and ended up being short and left of the flag, so I have to chip on and try to get my up and down just to get that par. So here's my chip, and yeah, not bad result overall, so I have a pretty decent look just to save my par here. And yeah, as you can see, cannot convert that up and down, so end up with another bogey. Trending in the right direction, but still want to get those pars. Alright, next up is a cool par 5. Not very long. Hit a pretty good drive here, 240 yards down the middle. Sets me up for a pretty good second shot and to leave myself in a good position for my third shot. Unfortunately, the layup didn't turn out as good as I'd like, and I had a side hill lie in the rust. So not only did I have that to contend with, but you're hitting into a green with water. So if I flare it out right, I'm taking another penalty stroke. But luckily, I hit this one pretty good. Just hit it past the hole and it rolls on. And so I have a decent length downhiller for my birdie. So here's the attempt. And man, I really thought this one was going in. It looked good for, 99% of the way, and it just didn't roll in. So got my par though, pretty happy. All right, next up, cute little par 3 here. This one ends up going onto the green, but ends up rolling off as I had too much spin. So yeah, I hit like pretty good. If it would just stop there, it would have been fine, but it rolls off to the left. And so I have this little short one for bird. Almost roll this one in as well, but end up just tapping this one in for my par. And so, hey, back onto the par train, and I'm loving it. So after a few string of pars here, feeling pretty good, thinking, hey, what else can go wrong here? Well, this hole's pretty tough, so it turns out a lot can go wrong in a round. That being said, I hit a pretty good drive. It's a dogleg right, and I end up fading it perfectly into the middle of the fairway. So I don't have all that much for my second shot. And this one, I end up pulling it into the left and going into the bunker on the left-hand side. So if you've been watching the channel, you know my bunker play is probably the weakest part of my game. This one, I decelerate. Don't get it out of the bunker because I'm scared if I go long, I'm pretty screwed because there's water or just like a cliff. And so this one, I committed more to it and, accelerate through the ball, taking the perfect amount of sand. And I wish I really would have done that on the first try. So that being said, I have this one to clean up for bogey. And yeah, I don't convert it there. So end up getting a double. And so, kind of lost all that momentum that I had building up those couple of pars. All right, next up is once again a very short par 4. I end up taking driver here, flare it out to the right hand side. Luckily I didn't go into the trap, so I thought I was going to be sitting okay. But yeah, I had this weird downhill lie in the rough type of shot. And as you can see from far away, this is what it looked like. Yeah, not pretty. And so, hey, at least I'm not in the trap. And so here's my, pitch into the green. And I hit it long. And so I have a crazy long downhiller for my par. And so here's the attempt. Armlock gang, where you at? This goes in from distance, so I end up getting a par on this hole even after a duffed second shot. All right, last hole. Kind of sad it's coming to an end here. Hit a really good drive in the middle of the fairway. Called for the guys that were filling in divots with hard hats, but they did not care. That being said, next shot into the green was a pretty good one, but had I known it was so severely sloped back to front, I would have tried to stay below the hole. Yeah, in these putts here, I'm just thinking 2-putt all the way. But even that was going to be a pretty hard task to accomplish. As I'm foreshadowing here, this one goes way past the hole, just barely tapped it. I'm just thinking, my gosh, had I known, I definitely would have kept it below the hole. But that being said, here is the return putt uphill. Gave it a decent chance, but yeah, left it short and just tapped this one in for bogey. That being said, first round ever at Spyglass, very satisfied with the overall results.
All right, as you can see, played pretty decently. The wheel started coming off after I lost that ball. Unfortunately, just couldn't find it. They're growing the rough out because of the Pro-Am that's coming up. That being said, what a pure course. Kind of gets robbed of like great views compared to the other courses because it's not as close to the ocean. But man, the conditions were awesome. The track was really interesting, pretty tough. And, if I were to go out there now, I'd probably have a little bit more knowledge on where to hit my shots. But great first round for me at Spyglass Hill. Really enjoyed my time out there with my friends. But hope you guys enjoyed that one. Keep chasing. See you in the next one.